This is the Five Dirty Bikers podcast, brought to you by Wild Ass Seats, keeping your rear in gear for the long haul. Join the Five Dirty Bikers on YouTube and chat with us on Discord. Visit fivedirtybikers.com to get your apparel and everything else. Now sit back, grab a drink, and let's get dirty as we dive into the world of bikes, keeping it raw and real. Here are the Five Dirty Bikers.
And
boy, do we have an exciting episode tonight.
We are going to do something we have literally never done.
Are you serious? It
Yeah.
has never been done?
We have never, ever
why in the world would we ever do this?
dedicated an entire episode to this particular topic that we're going to speak on tonight.
Not once.
No. In
But
fact,
we know people enjoy it.
in fact,
I mean, we've talked about it, but
Yeah,
I mean, this is something that,
it's true.
you know.
We knew it was going to be so ominous. My lighting actually stayed red in my room because we knew what was going to happen.
This is almost something you do in private, not out in public. So nobody can actually see you doing it.
There's no actual proof of it.
There's no actual proof that it's going down.
It happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess we need to probably set some guidelines. I think when we talk,
Is there
about
a safe
doing
word?
Is there a safe
we
word?
need to establish that. But first of all,
Yep.
the company. Are we going to be allowed to mention the company we talked about last week?
No.
No.
Tonight, no.
Only not
Only-
even for comparison reasons.
I think.
No, except for Tony's hat. That's the only mention of it
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough. Okay, so
Yeah.
we cannot use the word. That's a no go. If you use it, it gets bleeped out. Like you
Yep.
said, the word fuck.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck
Like
does not
it?
get bleeped out.
Fuck will not be bleeped out.
Okay, so I like it. And then, like, at some point, if Tony needs a break, because this is going to be a lot for him,
Yes.
he needs a safe word. And what is that safe word, Tony?
Oh my God. Wait,
I-
no. We get to say the safe word. We
Okay.
get to
You get to
determine
If you
the
see
safe
the
word.
vein in my neck starting to bulge, somebody,
Okay.
I
It should
need a
be-
safe word.
I think it should be meatloaf.
Okay, bet.
Because we
Meatloaf.
would do anything for love, but Tony won't do that.
I love it.
It all depends.
For
Yeah.
the right amount of money, Tony
For the
might do
right
a lot
amount of
things.
money.
All right. So we've established the ground rules. Tony, did you hear so there is zero mention aside from your hat
Correct.
of those other guys,
We can't talk about.
You mean the
we can't-
popular ones?
Yeah.
the popular
Yeah.
ones.
We
Yeah.
can't talk
Yes.
about the other brand must remain.
We can't
Not
talk
to be
about
mentioned.
the cool kids on the block.
Nope.
Nope.
This
Nope.
is not
Not tonight.
Wicked.
This is
Yeah.
like do you remember in the movie Nerds when Gilbert came and like they just dumped him in the water and he went to all the jocks and he started telling his story and then this guy was like, "Hey, I was a nerd too." And then like I was a nerd too. That's what it is tonight. Tonight it's all nerds. It's their time to shine.
Dude,
Nerds are sexy.
speaking
Yeah,
of
we
that,
are.
Speaking of that movie, if you like rewatch it, it does not age well at all. You have like some straight up Me Too moments in there.
yeah.
There might be a questionable rape scene
Oh yeah. Yeah, on the
No.
moon.
when the guy
That's-
like wears a mask and then he's like, "Oh, surprise!" Right? I mean, like that movie does not age well.
That used to be
But
on
that's-
page 2.
That's what makes it good.
I didn't say
that's
the
when
movie
we
wasn't
can all
good.
take a fucking joke.
You watch
Right.
Blazing Saddles and see how that settles with you.
But I think didn't we say the same thing about Tropic Thunder? Like you couldn't make Tropic
You'd
Thunder
never do
now.
that. You'd never do that today. Ever.
Yeah. And there's some parts of that movie that I can't get through without almost wetting my pants. I'm
It
laughing
was
so hard.
it was suspect when it came out. I mean, it was on the
was.
verge of offensive when it came out.
It was fully offensive. Yeah.
That's what the problem with America is today. No one can fucking take a joke anymore.
No.
Well, I took that joke. That was one of the fucking funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
that joke. You want to know something? This is something. And Prentice, tell me if you found this to be true because I know I did. So when I was younger, I grew up in Southern California, and in a I'm going to tell you a non-racially diverse area. I was the only white kid. I had no white friends. I mean, California obviously is a melting pot, but not where I lived. There was no melting because there was all the colors of non-white that existed, right? But in those groups of friends that I had, there was all kinds of racial slurs that was thrown around, and I was also allowed to use them, even though I was the only white kid in the group, but I was allowed to use all of the same slurs that they were using to refer to one another.
Yeah. I was going to say, why are you asking me? Because I grew up in Appalachia.
Yeah, sorry. So, but what I'm saying though is that in that, in those confines of that type of environment, I wasn't looked at as like the token white kid. You know what I mean? Like I was just another kid on the block who was able to use all of those same things. So it's like, we say Tropic Thunder didn't age well. Like during that time, like none of that shit mattered. You were what all your friends were in those neighborhoods.
Robert Downey Jr. was gold in that movie.
Man,
God damn.
He was something for sure.
So
I mean, Prentice, you got to lead us off because you brought it up, and
I'm ready,
and we agreed. So what are we talking about this week?
My soul is ready. So last week, whenever we did it, we did a complete episode on the popular guys, right? The alpha. What are they called in nerds? Alpha betas.
Alpha. Yep.
Yeah, the alpha betas.
Yep.
Now we're talking about the tri-lambs.
Yep.
Tonight we are talking Indian and only Indian, aside from Tony's hat.
Aside from
Tony, the safe word is meatloaf. But tonight,
all right,
we are talking about the Indian release, which we can go ahead and start by saying it was executed well. There was a video.
Yeah.
I've never had a poorly executed release.
Even at your age, Tony?
I'm just saying.
The release is good. The finish, not so great.
So the format is the same, right? Tonight, I don't know. So, number one, of all of you, how many have actually gone, taken a look, gotten some news, know what you kind of like, what you don't like, right?
Yep.
Show prep, right?
Yep. I did some show prep.
So we're going to go down the line here. Let's talk about what we like, what we don't like. Tony, try to find something you like. Try to make the don't like list shorter than the like list if you can
I got
for
nothing
1 week.
to say.
And yeah, and let's just rap about it, right? Because one of the most, and I won't kick it off, but I will say one of the most interesting parts about Indian is that it's not all colors, right? Like it's never going to be all colors because they have 4 total, something like that, and nothing more. Don't like it in black or gray or whatever, then tough luck. So yes, I don't want to go first because I want to hear the royal we talk on this. I want to see what you guys think, and also, if you are a member of our Discord, which you should be, if you're not, go over there and let's talk. Like some brands don't get as much play as others. We know this, right? And we know that there's a brand for everyone out there, and we don't want to alienate anyone. We want everyone to feel comfortable and welcome, not like previous films that we discussed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's all come together for one
I think
night.
my internet's acting up.
Yeah, so let's wrap. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I can go first because I have
do it.
I have some feelings. So the first thing I'm going to tell you right now, and I did this with the other unnamed source motorcycle company that we cannot speak of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing exactly what I did last time and use this for comparison. From a mobile app website perspective, this one runs better and it's smooth.
Agreed.
Now
That's because they only have 4 motorcycles.
What I was
and
gonna
no
say
clothes.
is it could be that no one's using the website.
Yeah,
But
it is. Right.
But I'm telling you right now, it runs flawlessly on my phone, and the other website does not. It is a janky, garbled up piece of shit that it still doesn't today work very
because
well.
everybody's on
It locks up all the time. So I'm gonna go there because we actually mentioned that. Dave mentioned it when we talked about said unnamed motorcycle, that their kind of website situation was janky. This one is better. Indian's website is better. It actually is running quite well on my phone.
Yeah,
So
and it's not a light website. It's a pretty heavy website still. They don't have as many models, but
yep,
it's a
got
good looking website. I was just looking at it. It's a good website. All right.
I'm gonna go right to my favorite motorcycle, which also has the things on it that I like the most and I also hate the most.
Okay.
So I want to go to their cruiser lineup, to the Chief, or what they have listed as the Chief.
Chief?
Yep.
All right.
Number one that I love about it, I love that they have a fairing that looks nothing like anything else out on the market.
Man,
It
that
doesn't.
Are
ain't
you
nothing
talking
but a
about the
fucking
Sport
Road
Chief?
Warrior.
The Sport Chief, yep. It doesn't look like a
Okay.
Road Warrior. It doesn't look like Harley's Sport, whatever their
The T-Sport.
the T-Sport fairing. It has its own look to it, and I appreciate that. This is my favorite bike in the Harley lineup, bar none. They have.
But you mean Indian?
What?
The
Yeah.
Sport
Who are we
Chief.
talking about?
What's that?
You said the
Did I
Other
say
guys.
named? We're gonna have to bleep that out.
yeah
This
Yeah,
is
bleep
my-
it
Indian.
out.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Indian of all of them that are on the market right now. I guess I shouldn't say that. I do like the bagger that they have.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's a good looking bike.
But
right?
there's something about this bike that is absolutely positively terrible though, Tony.
Yeah,
have a feeling I know what's
First
what's
off,
gonna
it's a
say.
fucking Indian. But no, it's a good looking bike. But if you was to spend $24,000 on that, when you looked at it, would you wish you would have bought the cool one?
Well,
I'm just saying.
Well, no, but here's my thing. That this bike actually comes stock with a lot of things that said other motorcycle doesn't, that I really appreciate.
We're gonna have to say the fucking name because we can't. This
No.
is fucking crazy.
It has a bar and riser setup, right? So it has risers and T-bars, which said other motorcycle company has never done before, and they are legitimate, right? They look really good.
No.
And they're a riser and sport bar setup. The gauge package is actually integrated into a speaker system that's built into the fairing, which I appreciate because it's all Bluetooth and it's all digital. So you have like an analog gauge, but has a digital thing. So when you hook up to it, so there's technology built into the like a round analog gauge, which I thought was a super cool feature. I really thought that was cool, right?
Is it standard? Is the speaker standard on this, not an option?
I think it depends on what model you get.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it does. I think it does depend on the model. So I'm not.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
But
say
if
I'm
we're
not
if we're
super-
saying RT to ST,
It's called the power band audio Bluetooth speaker. I think that's
Yeah.
the ST version of this. The RT.
RT,
Chief
yep.
RT.
okay,
So are
Yeah,
these
'cause that's the
liquid
one that I
cooled
like.
or they air? These are air cooled, right?
they are. Yeah, this is
Okay.
the air cooled
Yep, this
motor.
is
The
the
one
Thunderstroke.
16 or the 117, whatever they
Yeah.
have.
117.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The Thunder Beater or whatever it's called.
The Thunderstroke
Yeah.
116 is what
The
it
meat
is.
beater is
Thunderstroke,
what they
yeah,
ought
the
to
meat-
call
And
it.
it does
meat
say
beater.
on the site. It does say
Hey, meat
standard
beater?
equipment, 90
Yeah.
watt audio system with Bluetooth
Yep.
standard. That's cool.
So now again, not necessarily my jam. I just appreciate that they did this from an audio standpoint. Okay. So I like the looks of this bike. I love the bar setup. I'm going to tell you, having ridden this class of Indian, where they fall short is in their hand controls. Their hand controls are cheap as shit, and I do not like them.
Well, it's the same as a Polaris, basically, isn't it?
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
And they have the same thing on their bobber, and I'm telling you right now, I hate them. They're just these super sinus kind of skinny grips that feel very cheap.
Mhm.
Not the necessarily the controls, but definitely the grip area. But I'm going to tell you where they really fucked up. Where they really fucked up is those stupid ass ammo can bags.
I knew it was coming.
This
Yeah, and I agree.
is literally the worst feature on this bike, and it's so bad that it actually detracts from how great the rest of this motorcycle is.
They
Yeah.
look too small.
Yep,
Yeah.
way too
Yeah.
small. They fucked up really bad on those bags. Like it was an afterthought. It looks like it was thrown on there. They are bullshit. I bet you they barely hold a 6-pack of soda.
Bag has to be proportionate.
100%.
Yeah, you just can't go in there with a small bag. I mean, it has to be
No.
proportionate.
The beanbag doesn't
Yeah.
match. You got
No.
some real problems.
Yeah, something's wrong. And nobody wants an overly big bag either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I mean-
honestly, what they should have done, a missed opportunity, would be putting like Saddleman, the Leather Pro bags on there, like doing a 2-in-1 with the Leather Pros. That would be
pretty
too
too cool. Couldn't do
Too
that.
cool. Yeah, right.
It would have. I mean, those bags on there would have made this bike. I mean, legitimately would have made it purchasable. But with these
Yeah.
stupid ass bags on there, they fucked up everything else about this bike that I like about
I
it.
remember when when they first announced the Chief. What was it, 2-3 years ago?
Mhm.
It was a blatant rip.
It was, but this
Yeah.
one has stepped out of that though, Tony, because they they made it standard with some features, you know, like it has a shorty front fender. It has
No, it's a good looking bike, man.
what
I mean,
looks like
really.
what looks like a saddleman. I'm telling you, I really like that fairing because it just looks like it stands on its own. It's not a copied fairing, which I appreciate. They fucked up with those bags. That's all I'm going to say. They really fucked up. I mean, and they're lockable, all the things that Indian has, but they just did these stupid ass tiny bags. They could have even kept that shape and just made them bigger, and it would have
Yeah.
saved on so many things.
You know what
I mean-
drives me nuts about it is that, and this isn't even the thing that I like or dislike in this particular section, but like as you mentioned them, like Indian overall, to me, is kind of like the bags, right? Like they make this like ridiculously nice platform, or like for instance, you know, I'll talk about the Challenger. They make this like wonderful platform on paper, and like there can be certain things that look so beautiful about it. But then you have the fucking bags, and like even the metaphor of the bags. Like every bike has its bags in this case, and this just so happens to literally be the bags. But
Yep.
you're right. There's always just something that's fucking off that I can't.
And this bike has all of the, you know, has all of the things. I know it comes standard with Fox shocks. It's got real Brembo brakes. They're not a manufactured licensed name, right? They're Brembo brakes. So there's things about it that I really like. I also really like that they went minimal on any type of body molding, which I'll get to that on the bagger in a minute. So it still looks very mechanical. I really like this bike. They fucked up with the bags. Okay. So that's the Sport Chief. So let's go on to touring, and I'm only going to address one of the touring models because there's really only one that I really like, and I'm just going to go straight away to the Challenger. The Challenger motorcycle to me is
The bagger or the touring?
the bagger. I mean, no, the bagger. I wouldn't go to
Yeah,
the touring
the
one.
Challenger.
I would say the Indian Challenger, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much every version except for the full touring one that has the lowers and the top case and whatever. This, and I said it, I think on last podcast, this stock format of the Indian Challenger is the most comfortable bagger I've ever sat on. Perfectly stock. If for whatever reason, when I sat down on it, it fit me perfectly. I love the adjustable windshield. I mean, if you're going to go straight out of the gate for a bike in this price range that has so many stock, you know, features, the adjustable windshield, the lockable, electronic lockable bags that you could use a fob with. I mean, I love everything. What I don't love about the Challenger is, and I know it's an Indian thing, is I wish the Challenger on this specific model would have gotten rid of the Indian head on the front fender.
Yeah.
I know that that's
It's a lot.
a very, very Indian thing that they kind of carried over. I really wish they would have done away with it. I think it would have smoothed out the lines of the front fender. When this fairing first came out, I hated it. I actually like it more now than I did when it first came out. But this motorcycle feels like you sit in it and not on it, which I fully appreciate. And now I've actually never ridden one. I test rode it because it feels lighter when you take it off the center stand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying all of this because of one of our Discord members that came to FTBM last year. When we were on one of our runs and eating, I went out there and I was just like, "Can I sit on your bike?" And he's like, "Yeah, please do." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," I really was impressed. And to make that comparison, he was like 5 foot, I think, not like a really tall guy, and I'm 6'3", and I just sat on the bike as he had it sitting there, and I really did think, wow, I could ride it just as it sits. So that was my thing. That I really liked. I know that they have other color versions that are, in some of their other price ranges. I will say I'm a little bit disappointed because I really thought that this was an area that Indians stood out. Is they've gone up significantly. The Challenger's gone up significantly in price in the last little while. But that's that's my take. That's where I'm at with Indian right now.
Yeah, that's good. And it's funny. It's funny that again, it's those little things, right? Like the Indian head on the front fender. It's like, yes, it's iconic, but the first line, let me go back. The first line of their description for the Challenger is high performance in a full-size bagger. So, like, when I think performance, I'm thinking, like, maybe a shorty fender, something a little different, like not like a traditional style front fender. And it makes sense. And something that small, which it can throw off the look of it.
The only other thing that really got me about it was, and you don't notice it so much in the pictures, but you notice it a lot more in person, is the basically right after the tank is where the mechanical look of that motorcycle goes away. There's a lot of body molding on this bike, and I'm not a fan of so much body molding. I like to see some of the mechanical stuff of your motorcycle, and there's the side panel section of it is giant, like right after the end of it.
Too much.
And you can't see it. It doesn't photograph, you don't see it, but in person you're kind of like, wow, that's really a lot. But for the most part, like I said, it was the most comfortable stock format motorcycle I've ever sat on. From a bagger perspective. So there we go.
Yeah, and the panels are actually more pronounced as well. If you go into the building section of it and use, like, just give it a different color, like frost silver smoke, which is pretty cool color. And the moss green is a really cool color. But like the panels stick. They did a little bit by adding black to the outer trim of the side panels to kind of mitigate the look a little bit, but it's still, it's just too much.
Yep. So there we go. That's
good.
My take.
I like it. That's a good take. All right, Tony, let's go to you.
All right.
I've been waiting on this all week.
What? Dude, I talk a lot of shit about Indian. Here's the two places where I think they outdo is the FTR and the Scout. Yeah. Because it's not in competition with the other guy.
Yeah.
They don't have anything like that.
Nope. You're right.
So that's where Indian stands out to me. You got a $9,000 entry level bike, and it's a good looking bike.
And it rides really.
Yeah,
it's
the Scout's a good looking bike, and it's got some heat to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And at $10,000, you're on it. Yeah. And then your FTR, that is a badass bike, man. And it's not in direct competition. I think when you go in direct competition with the other guy, they lose. And that's a fact. I mean, look at market share. Yep. 70 to 30%. I mean, it is what it is. So you have to look at where they're not competing with the other guy.
Yep. I will tell you, and I agree with Tony, and I think we even touched on this a couple of years ago when the FTR came out. I mean, this sucker is $13,000. Right? Mm-hmm. That bike is fast as fuck.
Dude, it's a bad motherfucker, man.
Dangerous at $13,000, dude. Yeah. I mean, that's a death trap at $13,000.
That is a cool bike.
This year, I don't know if this is the first year or not, but they're doing they're doing the limited run of the RSD Super Hooligan bike too. It's like 18, but it's still under 20,000.
It's still under 20, and I mean, it is a cool motorcycle. I mean, if you want to go fast and look good doing it, that's your bike.
And they sound so mean, too. Like,
and I mean, if you want to get into cruisers, a nice cruiser, you want to start. I mean, you used to be able to do it with the other guy. You can't do it anymore.
Nope. Mm-hmm. Nope.
That's a hell of a bike. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The Scout's a good looking bike.
What was the Scout? So when Victory was out, what was their version of the Scout? Was it like the Gunner or something like that? Maybe it was like a Victory Gunner or something. But I remember riding one of those and being like, this shit feels nice. Like, this is well put together. Everything feels great about it. So yeah, I agree. I think for the price point, it's really hard to beat that bike.
Dude, I'm here to tell you right now that FTRX 100% carbon.
Yeah,
dude, that makes my pants tight.
Yeah, no, it's a mean looking bike, dude.
Both of those, that Super Hooligan and that FTR X Carbon, dude, those fucking bikes are hot.
And I think that, you're getting into Ducati shit when you're looking at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, it does. It has the same, very similar, because you can have that open frame. It looks like the Ducati Monster.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not dealing with Ducati prices and Ducati service. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something goes wrong with it, they don't have to fucking bring the part from Italy on a tugboat. You know?
Exactly. Yep. The only other thing too, and I, we can get to this later. Well, I won't even bring it up right now.
All right.
Yeah. You're gay?
You sure?
I'm not anymore. I tried. It was an experimental phase.
It's 2025. Different times.
Yeah.
All right. So what else, Tony?
I'm doing my best here.
You're doing good. Honestly, those are very equally valid points. and make complete sense for
That's
sure.
just where I'm at. Honestly, I mean, the other ones, it's too much same to me. It's hard to at that point, really it's brand loyalty, I think, at that point, because they're both, just like you all pointed out. I mean, they're not identical, but I mean, they're pretty damn close, you know, plus and minuses on both, but we're all kind of the other team. So it's, you know, I have to make fun of something, but
Right.
For sure.
All right.
All right.
Next.
Cool.
Who's up next?
Andy, let's have it.
Well, I will say this was probably a little bit harder for me because I don't really know a lot about these motorcycles, and as far as like specs and all
Neither do
of that,
I.
it's a
Neither
little
do
bit
I.
hard. So I did go into a couple of different forums and read just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of steal some stuff that I read today, but purely from aesthetic only, not really understanding power or anything like that. I really liked, let me go and find it now. I like the look of the Indian Springfield Dark Horse. Specifically
the
in that
fucking dark horse.
that moss green.
Yeah.
So I just aesthetically, that one stuck out to me, and I also think that I kind of liked that line a little bit because the seat height is like between 26 and 27 inches on those bikes, which actually would fit me well, if that makes
And
sense.
it's 380 inches long.
And that's too much. That's too many inches for me.
That motherfucker is a half a block long. It is the John Holmes of motorcycles.
So aesthetically, so once again, that's just purely looking at it and just kind of liking it. Now, I will say that everything that I read, like where a lot of people were talking about what they were impressed with specifically with what they came out with this year, was that 101 Scout. Just talking about that, you know, that it has that size and has that kind of power, I guess, is kind of what I had read. Like that was the most impressive thing if you were really an Indian follower, if that makes sense. So yeah, so other than that, like I don't really enjoy the color schemes of most of the Indian motorcycles. I think that it's pretty boring, pretty bland, but that's their thing, I guess. So I think for the most part, they often look very plasticky, which kind of is exactly what that Indian Springfield looks like, is a bunch of plastic, but
It does, yeah.
But I guess I will say out here, we see a lot of people riding them. I mean, once again, I think Sturgis Indian is like sells more Indians
Definitely
than any
a
other
player.
place. Yeah,
Because-
I mean, we see a lot of them.
Yeah, because there's really, I mean, you know, there's others, but Indian and the other guy are the two big players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want a cruiser, that's where you're at. And honestly, in this day and age, man, you can't buy a bad motorcycle. They're all fucking good.
Yeah.
They're
These
all
days.
fun.
She's
You know?
right though. That 101 Scout, that's a fucking hot bike.
No, it's a
I
hot
mean,
bike,
Yeah.
dude. The
It's
Scout's
got-
a nice bike. I like
it's
the
got-
Scouts.
I mean, it's got piggyback shocks on it. It has the gold fork tubes, like Olin's. Looks like Olin's. The one that has the red and black though has that small little bikini fairing on it. That's a nice looking bike. It really is.
No, but I mean, you know, at the 101 Scout though, man, you're 17 G's.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
You
true.
know, I mean, you're
And that's
getting up there
for
in
a
price.
Scout. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the most expensive Scout they
Yeah.
have, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, inverted forks, piggyback shocks. I mean, it's a good looking bike.
7 seat height on that one. Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
stand over that one.
Fuck, dude, that's my
Yeah.
height right there.
I don't know if I need that, but yeah. The other thing, actually, and this is maybe gonna sound stupid coming out of my mouth, but I didn't actually realize that Indian didn't have trikes. Do they have trikes, or are their trikes typically converted?
They're conversion. They don't
Okay.
sell a production trike.
Okay,
They're called
so
slingshots.
And Greg will probably be embarrassed by the fact that I didn't know that off the top of my head. But when I was on there looking, I was looking for a trike and surprised that they didn't have something that was, I guess, just available. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I'm looking at the 101 Scout now. It has 111 horse, 1250.
No,
yeah.
it's a mean bike, man. But you're at 18K, so
It seems their 1250 cc seems very comparable to the Revolution Max or Rev Max?
yeah.
1250. Power wise, I think the other one makes a little more, but yeah, that's a good looking bike. I like that.
All right.
That
All right.
FTR carbon though.
Yeah, that bike.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's
Different
something
level.
Right there.
I mean, it's not for me. I'm too old to ride something like that. But
No, you just get on it and go.
that R Carbon is a bad bitch.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So one other thing, I'm just kind of glancing through here. How much of a cost difference is it for the competitor to have the non-stock color? Is it $700 more or $750 or what?
I don't know.
Shit.
I think it's at least 500.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm
Sometimes
just
5,000.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through these. Like, if they're Indian, it looks like it is their base color is that black, and if you go a little bit higher, it's about $500. But I thought for some reason it was $750 for the other one, but I could.
Some of them are. No, I think it's
Okay.
like 500, 750, 5,000 if you get that one crazy cool color. But yeah, it varies.
I mean, and some of that too, you have to start thinking about resale value and what holds its value better. You know, since the Indian doesn't have the market share, it's not as wanted in the aftermarket, let's say, as the other brand. So when you're paying that premium for paint, you know, you potentially recoup that money down the road with a competitor, where I'm not sure you would do that with an Indian. But I mean, these are all hypotheticals. I don't really fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I don't, most people I think that have gone to Indian have a tendency to keep them too. I don't know that they've been trading.
Yeah,
them
you
off
can't.
a lot.
Nobody wants them. You can't sell them again, dude.
Yeah. Well, and that
I
might-
mean, it's
and
like fuck. I'm stuck with it. It's like an ugly woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
have to
might
love
be
it.
that might be true. I mean, I saw like when the Challenger first came out. I was in, well, not first came out, but it was like a second year Challenger, and we were in Missouri, and there was a power sports dealer that we went to there, and they had a Challenger in there, a used Challenger that had about 20,000 miles on it, and dude, that thing was like, I think they wanted 13 for it. I mean, I was like, well, but that was when the Challenger was 19. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it might even actually, I think it was 11, not 13. Now that I think about it, and I was like, holy shit, this is a steal for what you were getting. You know, whoever put the 20,000 miles on that thing, they beat the piss out of it in 20,000 miles, because it had been rode hard and put away wet. But
Yeah, that's one theme I see a lot. And actually, this is where I want you listening to this right now, stop driving and go on Discord and tell me, especially if you have an Indian, I want to know, like, what do you go to after this? Because
Nobody's going to admit that.
A lot of people that I know
Nobody's going to admit
or
they
have
an
talked
Indian.
to that put 20, 30,000 miles on a Challenger, like, they have zero interest in going back to a Harley. They're like, fuck that. Like, I
Bleep.
love it. Bleep.
Fucking
Fuck that. Like,
Voldemort.
I love this bike. And it's like, I can get it, right? Like, and I think there's a stigma against it, and that's really the only reason that you wouldn't make a transition. Or, you have brand loyalty, and that's one thing, but I don't know. I mean, I would be interested to know why everyone that I've seen for sale in the used market as it relates to the Challenger, like to Ryan's point, has had over 20,000. Most of them have 40,000 miles on them.
do you think that's why, though, Prentice? You mentioned the word transition. Do you think that after you buy an Indian, you just automatically end up transitioning?
Yeah.
Guarantee it, dude.
Yeah.
You'll be fucking changing your pronouns afterwards. That's right. I said it.
No, but well, Prentice, give us your take. Give us your lowdown.
I think you guys said a lot of like what the overall, Vox Populi thinks about, Indian as a whole, but I like them, and I used to not, and that says something, right? Like I was the same, like, fuck Indian.
Would you buy one?
I would. I really would.
Well, then
I really
why
would.
didn't you?
That's a great question.
There,
and
boom.
honestly, so here is where the one that really pushed me over. I've ridden technically 3 Indians in the past 10 years.
What was their
first is
names?
when they came out? Scout. The first one was when they came out with. Do you remember the Scout Bobber?
Yeah,
I really liked that bike. And Indian, if you don't,
It was
know,
a cool
has-
bike, man. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was clean.
That was
and
clean,
Indian has the
yeah.
best test ride protocol of any manufacturer out there. Fuck the other guys. Like, put on your vest, make sure you go in a group. Like Indian, like, I have not been on a test ride of an Indian yet where the sales guy or the rep was like, yeah, here's the keys. Fuck off. Like, have fun. Wait, what's that now? Like, yeah, no, it's a test ride. Ride it. So I've given them a considerable amount of hell on a test ride and really had fun with it, like tried to ride it how I would own it. That being said, the best ride that I've had on any Indian product so far was the Scout. Like Tony said, it's a great fucking bike. It's well built. It feels solid. It's got a stout motor. It doesn't really leave you wanting more. I rode the Sport Chief last year at Bike Week, and I fucking hated that bike. Like,
wow, okay.
I wanted to love it. I really did. I really wanted to like it. It was new. It was exciting. It was an answer to the ST. It was like, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I rode it, and it never really, it either felt on or off. Does that make sense? And like just controls wise, power wise, like it just felt on or off, and I could never really get comfortable with it, despite how good I thought it looked and still think it looks. And I'm hoping that they worked a couple of, some of those issues out, and I'm sure they have. I sat on the Challenger just the other day. I rode to the local Indian dealership here in Daytona. Great dudes. Again, they were just like, yeah, if you want to take it, I didn't have the time, but they're like, yeah, here. That bike, when I'm looking at it right here, I'm still looking at it, I'm like, I love this thing. I would absolutely put one in the garage. When I sat on it, I'm like, this fucking thing is a boat. Like, it feels so much bigger than my Street Glide, and it feels so much bigger than really any Harley that I've been on. And I can't explain it. Like Ryan, maybe I should have like taken it off the kickstand, right? Like you said, it feels a lot lighter off the kickstand, a little more balanced, and I'm sure it does. But just sitting in the cockpit, I'm looking at it, and I didn't really, the position felt fine, but it just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? And that was kind of ultimately like, you know what? I don't even need to ride it. I can't sit on it and enjoy it. I don't really
want to ride the
it,
fucker,
so.
yeah.
Right, yeah. It's like, I'm going to ride one, to be clear. Obviously, during Bike Week, you can ride any bike you want, and I'm going to be first in line on Wednesday when they set up at, the week before, the days before Bike Week when they set up at the Speedway. Like, I'm going to ride it because I'm interested in that. The things that I love about Indian, we'll just get to the short list. One, I love that they have an answer to most of the things that the other guys have, right? Like, there's something for everyone. You're looking at a Springfield, if you're looking at a Road King. I'm not saying the name, I'm just going to say the brand. But if you're looking at a Springfield and a Road King, there's something comparable. If you're looking at the Chieftain or the Challenger versus Street Glide or Road Glide, there's something there for everyone. What they did right this year in particular was putting the Power Plus platform in the Chieftain, because before you could only get it in the air-cooled Thunderstroke. They're allowing you to get it in the Power Plus.
I got a Thunderstroke for them.
Yeah, I hate that their motor names sound like you're masturbating.
It sure does.
I don't
man.
really like
I mean,
that
it's just
idea.
so gay.
The
I mean,
Power
come
Plus.
The Thunderstroke.
on. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say this. I'm going to go ahead and tongue trace the shaft for a minute for Indian. I haven't ridden the new Nightster and the Sportster. So I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the A's and the 12s, the irons. I had one. I know Ryan had one. The Indian's a better bike. The Scout's a better bike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
100%.
100%. And, I will sit there and I will suck on that bobber, that tailpipe of that Sportster all day long. But you know what? They were fucking top heavy. There was a lot of things about that bike that, you overlooked because of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And solved all those problems with the Scout.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. And I still think, to
there you
that
go.
point, I still think
fuck
they're
everybody
one of the
that
best
said
platforms they
something
have.
nice.
I love it.
Here's the dick punch for Indian. And this is my biggest criticism of just Indian in general. And there's no solution to it because of what Tony said earlier, 70-30, right? There's no solution to this. Their aftermarket is garbage.
Oh my God, dude. That was one of the, so that's one, while we're on that, that's honestly my biggest dislike is I seriously did, Tony, like you said, I seriously did consider, like, I'm going to get one. Like, what the fuck? If I don't like it, I sell it, right? Like, I'm not in it for much. Like, I can get rid of it any time. So I was like, fuck it. I want to try it for a while. But then I realized, like, to put T-bars on the Challenger, it's a no less than $2,000 fucking upgrade.
That's
because
just
you have
in
to,
parts. That's just in parts.
Yeah, that's not even installation because you have to, there's a gauge relocation that you have to get. There's like all these different things that you have to get. And then it's like, okay, whatever, like maybe that's one of the more expensive things. And then you look at like
But there's only and there's only 3 people probably out in the market that are making that part.
Yeah, because if you look at it, the way the pullback on those bars is fucking insane. They're almost horizontal on the Challenger. And then the other part was like exhaust. Like what would cost you $1,000 on certain brand would be $1,600 for the Indian
minimum
in a 2-in-1. And
yeah, but the Indian though, when you buy the air cleaner and the exhaust, it comes with a tune.
Right, that's true.
Which
that's the other part. They
justifies a
package it
little
together.
bit of the extra price. But the aftermarket just isn't there because they don't hold enough market share. There's not a big enough market to support it.
Yep.
Like the other guys. And I mean,
think there's so much opportunity though. Really, I mean, especially like if within the Challenger platform, like Ryan said, I mean, you can pick up a brand new 2023 Challenger up north right now for like 19 out the door.
Yeah, out the door. But I mean, how much does it cost to R&D these parts? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to sell a shit ton of these parts to even break even.
Here's
with your initial cost. And
right.
Say Harley's selling 100,000. They sell 100,000 motorcycles, right? Indian sells 30,000. That's 30%, right? And that's over the whole lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 30,000 bikes out there that may upgrade, that may or may not upgrade, compared to 100,000 bikes that more than likely are going to upgrade because that's what people do. So it's hard to sink that money in all that R&D and not have a market for it
and not know. Not even know.
And here's my thing. Of the 4 of us that are talking about this right now, 3 of you could legitimately purchase one because you have access to a dealer network in your area and somebody to work on it. I, however, could not. There's no one that works on that bike here. We have 2 local bike shops. They do not work on those bikes. And so if I got one and I had a problem, I'm fucked, right? Even right now with my bike, if I stripped it down to the motor and I was like, oh, I'm fucked, I need some help, I could just throw it all in a box and take it to the local guy and say, put
I've done
my bike
that.
back together.
Tony's
like, I've done that. Right.
Yeah.
But if I did that with an Indian, I'm fucked because I have no support. Right. So that's the other downfall for me, is that there's no way I can get out of this jam that I'm in. So the aftermarket is 3 times the cost with very little availability and no support in my area. It puts me in a situation like, I love the other guy all day long and I'm brand loyal and I live and die by that. And I have a tattoo with the emblem on my body. But I have to, because it's also the only option that I have that would work for me long term.
Yeah. And on the other hand, not on the other hand, on that same hand is that, we've had how many episodes on the woes of like Harley dealers are closing, and or Ride Now or some of those like centralized ownership places are taking them over. Like I would say, probably a healthy, maybe even more than 80% of Indian dealers across the country are Ride Now or and you got to deal with that shit, right? Like so, it's like to your point, like the network is, even if it is here, it's just not as strong. And Daytona Indian, in my location, is a great one, but it's still a Ride Now.
They just don't have the brand recognition that the other guy does.
I will tell you,
Indian's a big brand. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in the motorcycle world, people know who Indian is. Yeah. Outside of the motorcycle world, they really don't. But if you roll up on a bagger or a motorcycle, for the people outside of the motorcycle world, the first thing they ask you if it's the other guy. Is that
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't look at it and go, is that an Indian?
Right.
Somehow they asked me that about my Royal Enfield.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, you could roll up on a fucking Goldwing and they would ask you if it was a Harley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So I will tell you this though, but to go a little bit further on that, Tony, is that if you pull up on, said other guy, you pull up on an Indian and you pull up on a Kawasaki Vaquero, the first 2 motorcycles get you into the cool guys club. The third one does not.
Am I the only one that thought the Vaquero was a cool fucking bike?
It's a fixed fairing full throttle right bagger. But what I'm saying though is that the community.
That's what Prince rode in Purple Rain, man.
Yeah. No, it's not. He didn't ride it.
The community fixed fairing.
Yeah. He rode that bike that he rode is fucking dope. But anyway, That motorcycle is still going to get you in the cool guys club, if that makes sense, right?
True.
That motorcycle is accepted in the community now.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other ones, they're not, right? I mean, so, we like to say, but there is a cost of entry, right, to the cool guy club, and that bike will still get you into cost of entry. That's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's true, and especially like when you look at Sturgis, look at Bike Week, like just stand out and watch. Obviously you're going to see more of one than the other, but like for me, it's like the Bike Week I always said is the same guy on the same bike times 7,000, right? Like it is Tom on a black street glide up and down Main Street as far as you can see. And like I am also that guy, right? But there's
I was gonna say, man, you blend right in that motherfucker.
I am now that guy. Yeah. But like as my friend said when I bought this, or when he was talking me into buying one, he said, dude, like it's the same thing as my F-150. He's like, there's a reason there are so many of these motherfuckers on the road. Like there's a reason.
Right.
I'm like, well said, right? And that's not to say that there's a reason that that Indians aren't. I think that they're catching up, and I think they're doing a phenomenal job, because there are not many Indians that I do see where I'm like, at least at first glance, like, that's an ugly motherfucking bike. Most of the time, I'm going to give it a second look and be like, looks pretty damn good, right? Because people put their own flavor to it. They got catching up to do, but I think they're doing it. I think, Tony talks about market share. I'd like to see the market share growth over the past 5 years for Indian. I think it's definitely improving, and it's probably going to continue.
I think they have, with the older group, I think they have a hill that they can't climb.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the newer generation, they have a chance. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
For me, I grew up, and Ryan, and I don't know about you all, but Harley was something that you kind of like, one day you knew that you were going to own it, kind of like a Ferrari or something you always wanted. You know what I mean?
Same.
And it was this pinnacle of landing on, what you dreamed about your whole life. And I mean, that's the generations that we grew up in, and that was that brand.
Yeah.
So, they have to take the new generation and get that type of momentum to get the new generation.
And that's the thing missing.
Yeah.
You're right. Like my first ride ever, like, I mean, I had so many bikes. I mean, I rode when I was 7 years old on a Honda 50 through the cornfields of Tennessee. But like the first time I ever bought my 883 Sportster, and I fired it up, and the first ride down the streets of Los Angeles, I'm like, this is it. Like, I've made it.
I had to go to the hospital a week later and get it drained.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't go down. I was like, this is amazing.
It's it, dude. It was a $4,000 Sportster, and I'm like, I fucking have made it. Like, I've done it. And that's the one thing that I think, one of the things that Indian misses, and I don't think they're going to figure that out until they can figure out the little nuances, like the motherfucking bags on the Sport Chief. Like, you gotta know that's not going to fly, and and you can't just put shit for the sake of putting shit. And I think that they need to do things that kind of give people that same, like, I fucking made it.
You got to have that. And the Sportster, like I said, man, it was a fucking terrible motorcycle. I mean,
yeah,
but
I loved it.
There was a lot of things that were wrong about that bike, but the feeling that you got riding it was worth every fucking penny.
Dude, we're so counterproductive, Tony, because this episode has made me want to do nothing but go buy another.
I know, but I mean, that's the thing. I mean, but that's what I'm talking about. We were raised in that. It was everywhere. I mean, even if you weren't into motorcycles, people were wearing the T-shirts. It was just, they were fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
It was like Coke,
But I think, and I see it. I can see it in Indians' eyes. Like, they're doing something right, and they nailed it, like you said, with the Scout. It's timeless. I mean, they went away, they came back. Like, people don't like them. We get that. We understand it. But, like, ride them both, and let's give an honest comparison, other than just, like, the subjective, like, it doesn't give me the same feeling I got, which is important, obviously, on a motorcycle. But, the last time I got that feeling was neither on the main brand or an Indian. The last time I got the real, like, I got off the motorcycle, I was smiling. I looked back at it. I felt like, holy shit, I really enjoyed that ride. It was on a Royal Enfield 350 single classic that had, 18 horsepower, and the thing won't do 70 miles an hour if you
But
drop
they're
it out
fun
of
to
an airplane.
ride.
But there was something
Yeah.
just like it's analog, it's beautiful, it's like the spirit of motorcycling, and that's it. You didn't have to pay a lot of money for it. It wasn't the main brand. It wasn't like the best of technology. In fact, it had very little to no technology, but it still had the ability to elicit that feeling. And the Scout gets close. Indian gets very close with the Scout, but it just hasn't gotten there yet. And maybe I'll find it at Bike Week. Who knows? If you're at Bike Week, come find me and we'll ride them together and see if we can find it.
Enfield is one of those too, where like if your kickstand broke off, you just like set it on its side and then just go pick it up when you're leaving.
Dude, I had the Himalayan I had, and we have a listener in the Discord that has a Himalayan. I can tell you from experience, you can take that bike fully apart and put it back together in your garage with the toolkit that they give you with the cheap tools. It's 100%. That is true motorcycling.
Yeah, I've heard that actually on numerous occasions, not just from you, but from other people, that's like legitimate. You can with the toolkit that comes
100%.
with it.
You can take it apart and put it back together.
I really have a hard time with what Indian did with that Sport Chief, where it's like so great, and then all of a sudden they do one thing to it that makes it completely douchey.
Yeah.
And it was like, you really, it wasn't that they missed the mark. It's that somebody looks at that bike and they're going to be like, wow, those bags are really douchey.
Man, you got to wash that bike with vinegar and water. Such a douchebag. I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't have a nozzle on the end of the exhaust.
It's just that, and I will tell you, like, when you do something so right and then you do that, it's just disappointing, right? I think that's ultimately where I came away, is like I could see myself riding that motorcycle, except for that thing that I feel like they really fucked up on. Where like if I look at that Carbon FTR, I'm like, I wouldn't touch anything. I just get on that motherfucker and ride like really, really hard and really fast.
All these bikes, man, are the same. I mean, here's the thing. If everybody pulls their head out of their ass and they go out there and they ride the bike and they say they ride it and look at it, what it was intended for. These fucking bikes are perfect. They don't need anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Indian or otherwise.
Either Indian or otherwise. I mean, there might be some little tweaks with handlebars and things like that just for personal comfort, but
making it your own too,
But if you go out and you actually ride the bike the way that it was intended to ride, they're fucking perfect. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. But,
I don't think there's any shade to be given to Indian on not acquiring that feeling like we're talking about, because like if you look at let's take like the BMW R18, right? A cruiser bike with bags, a fairing, electronics. It's a great fucking motorcycle for $20,000. Doesn't give you the same feeling, right? But like, so it's not really a discredit to them. I think it's just like, the whole time we're talking about how they compare to the main brand, right? Because that's our comparison, and how they have an answer for everything that they have. But that's the one thing they don't have an answer for yet. Here's where
I think they right now, that what Tony's talking about, that they can't get over, the hump that they can't get over is if they were a standalone company right now and they were not owned by a company that makes snowmobiles and side-by-sides, they would have more credibility.
It's
hard.
Think
they'll ever do that?
I think that Polaris name being attached to that company right now is doing them a disservice from making the next level. And the reason why I say that is that I have it on pretty good to very good authority that most of the innovation that you've seen in the Indian motors in the last 5 years, or even pretty much moving forward, is innovation that they purchased from Victory. That they did not actually, they have not done anything real innovative with that motor, that was all stuff that Victory had done.
I mean, the whole thing was, when they first came out, it was a rebranded Victory motorcycle. Well, Victory went away and Indian came in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think that was the big knock on the Scout, is the Scout was a Victory motorcycle. Like even the casting molding of the motor looked exactly like the Victory. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that was right. Cause as motorcycle enthusiasts, we're not idiots. And I think that's where the problem came in. If they were standalone, they were not connected to a snowball or a snowmobile company. Snowball.
Then they would have a snowball's chance in hell.
Right. Right. I think that might give them some legitimacy that they're missing right now. And because there's a ton of people that will tell you that the Victory motorcycles were the bomb, right? That those bikes are
Yeah.
fucking the Victory 8-ball. I remember when the Victory 8-ball came out. When I saw that bike, I didn't want a Harley anymore, right? I mean, it was a fucking great.
I'm trying to
Look,
look.
You
back
got
at
an
this
8-ball, you can run next to a motorcycle. You don't even need one.
That's true. That's true.
Just
And,
saying.
you know, Victory got, you know, the Nesses involved, and they were making a whole line of custom parts for those bikes, and you could do a lot with those motorcycles. And I just think that's I don't know, that's my
I
hot
think
take.
they built a good motorcycle, but
Yeah.
they do have some work to do with branding. I think they need to legitimize their branding. I think it's a struggle, especially like I said with us older folk. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But-
they shouldn't have to rely on a other brand misstep in order to capitalize, right? Like
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever will or could have the capability to become their own brand and say like, hey, look, we are our own now.
Right.
Like, let's go.
I will tell you this, and I took pictures of it because I sent them to you guys a while ago in the chat.
Yeah, man,
I
that
was-
was disturbing. Don't ever send me a picture like that again.
I was on.
What happens if
I
my
was-
kids get on the phone?
I was on. I was on a work trip, and I came up on an Indian truck on the road, and I took a bunch of pictures from my car of the Indian truck, and there's nothing more recognizable than that giant head on the side of that giant Indian head logo on the side of that truck going
Yeah.
down the road.
I love Giant Head.
Giant head. You love giant head. Yeah.
What is that? A
This
German
is-
war helmet?
It was. It was pretty cool. Like that was a pretty cool thing to be going down the highway and that there's that big truck going down the road, right? But
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they have a great activation at Bike Week, and like they have a real buzz around them for sure. Like people are riding the fuck out of those bikes. And again, it's cool. You go up, you sign up, and they're just like, which one are you going to ride? You stand in whichever line, right? Cruisers, kind of like the website. And they're literally like, all right, go pick one out, take off, see ya.
But
What?
you know, when I went in there, they had test ride days. Could you
Really?
just go in a dealer and they would give it to you and let you ride it?
Here? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's dependent on the dealer,
Yeah.
evidently. But yeah.
Yeah, here
They
do.
did in Nashville when I lived up there. They were like, he was like, yeah, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, go have fun. I was like, do you have to come with? He's like, no, I'm not.
Because I know,
going."
like bluegrass, I could go up there and they throw me the keys to any of them, and they'd be
Yeah.
the same way here. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see you when you
Yeah,
get
it must
back
be-
with the paperwork ready to go.
mhm.
Exactly.
Because that's
Yeah,
usually what you do. If you test ride them, you're fucked.
right. Yeah. And that you know, that confidence level is heavy, right? Like they're just like, yeah, go fucking ride it. We'll see you when you get back here.
Yeah,
Paperwork ready.
We'll have the papers ready for you when you get back.
I'm gonna next time I come see Andy, I'm gonna go down to the Indian dealer and I'm gonna be like, I want an FTR and I want Van Ocker Canyon. That's what I'm gonna do. And then I'm
Have at it.
gonna be like, and please get out the paperwork for my health insurance.
I feel like I'm going to have to take a shower after this podcast is over.
Yeah, you
I feel
will.
so
I'm
dirty.
I'm gonna say I'm very proud of you.
I mean, I
Yeah,
just
I think
feel
you guys
dirty
did
and
good.
used.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit
We
like
did a
a
good job.
dollar hooker on nickel night.
I will say, because I don't have the emotional attachment, and we've talked about, or I shouldn't say we've talked about it, I've mentioned this a lot. There's an emotion for you guys that comes along with the particular brand that you choose. And I can relate to that, not necessarily in the motorcycling world, but in other parts of my existence. But listening to Ryan say, you know, he liked that particular bike, but they really dropped the ball on the bag. The main guys do that shit all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but we forgive them for it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because you guys have the emotional attachment. And the one thing that Prentice said that I think, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, because I know a lot of people who have gone to Indian, I've seen a lot of people convert from HD to Indian, but I've never seen anybody convert back.
That's
Same.
because they
That's
give
what I
up
was saying, yeah.
motorcycling afterwards.
No, and they
Fuck
don't.
this. No, yeah.
Fuck this.
In fact, I feel like they put more miles on when they go to an Indian. Like I feel
Riding away from people so they don't be
Yeah.
seen.
You know, yeah, and Eddie's right. That's what I mean. Like, I'm like, holy shit! Like all of the used market, like these are not like, obviously, if they're challengers, they're not like 2015s or older. They're like 2021s, 2022s. They've got 40,000 fucking miles on them.
Yeah. They're
Like,
rode
okay.
hard and put away wet.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
me.
I'll tell you though, no matter what, it's with anything. when you're involved in something, motorcycles, whatever, when new ones come out, there's people that always going to bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're always going to complain
Sure.
about, they're going to find fucking something. And the thing that people forget, they build these motorcycles for the masses. They have to appeal to a broad spectrum, broad,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, of people, and not
Broad
just
speculum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that thing in the gynecologist?
Speculum.
Yeah,
Speculum.
speculum.
It's a broad speculum.
Yeah, you really got to
Page
open it
7.
up for the people,
Yep, exactly.
you know. But I mean, the thing is, that they're not going to tailor it to your taste. You know, that's what the
Right.
aftermarket's for. So
I mean, and I don't know if you guys do it, but I think Dave is really good at doing this. He will send off thoughts, emails, comments about products all the time. He talks about it.
a lot of
And if
opinions.
you're-
Very opinionated
If
fellow.
you're that guy, that's what they're going to change, right? Because if you're the guy that's constantly sending that info, so if you don't like something, fucking send an
Send it
email.
in.
Do something.
It does
Hashtag-
work because I sent them
Yeah.
nudes saying that I want the Power Plus and the Chieftain, and it worked.
And it worked.
In the nude suit.
Yeah, they're like, whoa,
Nice.
nudes? Yeah, this guy gets what he wants.
That's kind of like
Because
what
we
I
don't want to ever see it again.
went
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in my earlier statement to pull your head out of your ass and write it for what it is. That's
Yeah.
where, you know, everybody gets caught up in the little details of shit, and they look at the bike and they don't like it because of so and so. But if you ride it and look at it for what it was intended to do, you know,
It'll put a smile on
yeah,
your
it'll
face
put a
and
smile
make you
on your
wet.
face. I can't tell you. I've texted Ryan a bunch of times where I come back from a ride and I'm like, my God, man. I mean, the fucking bike is perfect. You know what I mean? But you get so caught up in all the other stuff that you look at it and it's like you're unhappy the whole time. You're not content. But
Well, I
Or
mean,
bored.
yeah, or
think-
bored with it.
I think what Prentice was really trying to get to is that when he sent those nudes to Indian and they put that Thunderstroke, they were like, if this guy thinks that this is 9 inches, this Thunderstroke is
Yeah.
really going to impress him.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
well,
know.
they did go from the 112 to the 116. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Right?
yeah.
See?
Hey, let me tell
Yeah.
you what, when you're doing a Thunderstroke, you don't want to slip. You can break
That's
your
right.
hand.
It's a
That's
lot
right.
of displacement in
It's
there.
a lot of displacement.
Speaking of which, that was the other thing while we're on it. Sorry. Like, someone was raving about how the if you wanted to do the kit on your own from the 112 to the 116, it's something like $5 or $6 grand or something stupid like
No
that.
shit.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
quite a bit of money.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, Andy.
I'm also very concerned that when you guys hear the word stroke, the only thing you guys think about is masturbation.
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys need to find friends.
No,
you guys
Andy.
need to inquire with your wives a little bit more because there's stroking that can happen there as well.
It's a man
No.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
Yeah.
After-
I have
after
I have 2
12
kids. The stroking
Yeah.
is done.
And let me tell you what, you get a 14,
You guys need to
15,
use your
16-year-old
left
boy
hand
in
then or
your house.
something.
Jesus Christ.
The last
Call
thing
that-
you want to do is walk in there and see a bunch of gym socks on the floor.
You're not kidding, man. There's not a sock in the fucking house.
Yeah. I'm taking Andy's advice tonight. I'm gonna sit on my left hand till it goes numb. Give myself the stranger.
Yeah, it's the stranger.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a boy, once you after 12 years old, that word just becomes a whole nother.
I guess.
Socks or stranger?
Exactly.
Like-
Yes.
You know, my wife was always saying, she goes, are you really serious about that? I was like, yeah, man, when you're 15, you could be at the fucking refrigerator door and just done. You know, I'm out. Nobody'd even know.
God, I miss those days.
You walk into high school. If you walk into high school now, like as an adult, this is what you do. You walk into high school as an adult and just walk down the hallway and look at the kids. Anybody that has their backpack in front of their waist, you know what
Yeah.
the problem is. That
Dude, if it happens,
that dude has
if it
seen
happens
one-
before 9 a.m. now, I'm like, hey, all right.
Yeah, that dude has seen one too many girls walking down the hallway with yoga pants
Well.
on, and he's got to walk with his backpack in front of him.
Boy, Andy,
You
you,
know
really
that's the-
opened up Pandora's box on this one.
Hell yeah, you
did.
did.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys all think about all these Indians while you do that dirty deed tonight.
Wait, Andy,
Jeez.
you're a
Yeah.
medical professional. I have a question for you. A good
Oh.
test for low testosterone is if it still gets up in the morning, right?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
That's what I always heard. I heard if you can still make it happen in the morning, then you're in good shape. You don't need to get your levels checked.
Huh.
You
I
just
mean,
wait. It gets better.
it gets shoot. Well, good job, Tony. Good
I tried.
fucking job.
I tried. God damn it. It was, again, I feel very dirty and used.
So
somebody
tonight,
better call me later after this is all I can say.
before our song, we always sign off by saying like, fuck this, fuck that, right? Like, no, tonight we all are going to say
Fuck Indian.
Harley fucking Davidson as many times. Ready, go.
Harley fucking Davidson.
There you go. I say it all the time. I wear the hat. You bunch
It's
of
a good
fuckers.
looking hat.
Yeah, you bunch of fuckers over here.
I think
Let's talk about Indy.
I think that we did legitimately a good job. We
Yes.
gave Indian their stripes tonight. We talked about that motorcycle for an entire episode, and not once did we just try to run it over with a semi.
Well, I got a rash now.
I'll say I actually think we did better talking about Indian than we did the previous one.
I think so too.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I think
would
it-
There
yeah.
really wasn't. I wasn't in for that one, but there wasn't much to talk about. I mean, it's, I hate to say it, but it's the same shit kind of every year, man. What color are we
Yeah.
buying this year?
Now let's go one step further. If we get to this time next year, right, and I think it will give us an opportunity to be able to reflect a little bit better, because we've never done this before with Indian, and we talk about Indian next year, we may feel the same way about Indian next year, that like they dropped the ball and didn't throw enough.
Yeah,
new
I mean,
stuff
we'll
at us,
we'll
right?
see.
I
We'll
mean,
see. I think we're going
Yeah.
to start seeing some new stuff from both camps next
Yep.
year. It's
I
time.
think so too.
It's time.
Good shit too. Like good,
Yeah.
good shit.
The M8 has some age on it now. Back in 18 and 19, we're like, we want something new. I was like, we do have something new. The fucking M8. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
Yeah.
it's brand new, but it's got some age on it now. I mean, it's 8 years old, so I think there's
Right.
going to be some changes to that. And
Hey, you got
And there'll be hits or misses. You
Yeah.
know, like it'll be the same as before. Like, we wanted the Bronx, we got the fucking Pan America ST, right? Like Indian, they're like, all right, you guys wanted a Bronx, here's your fucking
something.
oh my
The
god, what's it
FTR.
called?
101
FTR.
Star.
Yeah, let's
Excuse me.
think about it like this though. Harley has been saving they don't blow their wad now until mid-year, right?
I do.
So there's going to be
They're low testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be something. They've got something in the works either for the
well, yeah,
you know,
something's
Yeah.
going to hit.
They've got a
mid-year.
big coming out to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish,
I think
and
it's-
I wish
think
that I
it's
could
gonna
say
be
my
the Dyna.
confidence.
They're bringing the Dyna back.
Bullshit. Yeah.
God.
I'll wear my high socks just for that day. I wish that I
Okay.
could say that I had confidence in that, but like unless it was staged, they sincerely dropped the fucking ball. But I digress. We're not talking about them this episode. This is
Meatloaf.
Indians.
Meatloaf.
We've gone
Meatloaf.
too far.
There we go.
We digress.
All
Fucking
right.
Indian.
Hey,
All right.
Again.
So
join Discord because it's fucking free, right? We got
Yeah.
a lot. We've been pretty good the last couple of weeks. We've been having new regular members on the Discord.
Yeah.
Well, if I hear anybody mention Indian in the Discord, I'm booting them.
Do it.
I've had
Mention
enough
it.
of this Indian.
We're gonna
talk,
create a
taking your
man.
complete
powers
thing.
away.
Had
Yeah.
enough of
Taking
this
your
shit.
powers away.
God.
Oh, we should start an entire section for Indian.
Are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me?
No.
Well, Prentice rolled up, inked like a map, said, fuck this hog, I need more snap. Ryan took a sip, leaned back in his chair. An Indian, huh? Boy, you grew a pair. Andy revved up, pipe screaming loud. Harley was home, but this bitch makes me proud. Tony showed up, last beer in his grip. Boys, I'm in too, fuck the dealers. We traded the hogs for Indian dogs, burning up rubber and breaking the laws. Big V twin, yeah, ride so tight. Sorry, Milwaukee, but we switched tonight. Leather and grease, still dirty as sin. But now we're the fools Harley won't let in. Heritage history, man, fuck that noise. We ride what we like, we ain't your boys. Rolling on scouts, chiefs in tow. Bitches be staring like, damn, let's go. Speeding past bars, flashing some skin. This ain't a church ride, now let's sin. Bar fights, burnout nights, still raising hell. But these Indian beasts ride smooth as well. Sorry, bar hoppers, keep your rocking the throttle and kissing the lane. We traded the hoes for Indian dogs, riding full throttle like outlaws and gods. No chrome shit, no overpriced hype, just whiskey roads and dirty ass life. We traded the hogs for Indian dogs, riding full throttle like outlaws and gods. No chrome shit, no overpriced hype, just whiskey roads and dirty ass. We traded the hogs for Indian dogs, burning up rubber and breaking the laws. Big V-twin, yeah, ride so tight. Sorry Milwaukee, but we switched tonight.